What's up, guys? Dark Deli here playing Ghost Recon Wildlands. Today we're doing another episode of Ghost Recon Wildlands Player Guide. And today I want to continue what I started on yesterday with weapon attachments. Yesterday I showed some easy ways to get them. Today I want to talk about what attachments to use on what weapons and how you can actually expect stats and real actual effects of weapons to work. We'll talk about that here in a second. If you guys have not seen the Wildlands player guide I'm doing right now, whoops, that's my bad. I slammed my controller on accident and my gun went off. Anyway, if you're not familiar with this series, there's a link to the full playlist down in the description below, and so you can go through and scroll through and check out any episode you may haven't seen. Also, be sure to subscribe and keep up with what we're doing here. Right now, we're posting these every day, and we may be adding some new content. Not quite sure what. All right, so today let's start with, I suppose, a basic, simple reality of this game, and that is all the testing I've done, all the testing videos I've done, I've never seen those stats over there. I've never seen one correlation with those stats with any direct mechanic of the game. I have tried every way I can think of to test damage. Okay, so let's just go from top to bottom. First of all, because we're talking about attachments and which ones to use, so let's talk about stats first. Damage, I honestly can't tell you. I've got 2 video clips of me at tier 1 with a level 30 HTI, 2 different video clips where it took me 2 bullets to kill a guy with an HTI. I know, that's like getting struck by lightning. That's so rare that I'm lucky I caught those on video. What I'm saying is that gun has damage beyond maxed out, and it's got 50 caliber bullet. How is it going to take 2 shots to kill a guy? I don't know. The damage thing, also, so let's look at the damage on the SR3M. Now, of course, all these stats are relative to the weapon category they're in. Assuming the stats mean anything at all, they're relative to the category of the weapon they're in. Because the Mark 14 is technically a sniper rifle, you can't compare it with the stats with the SR3M because it's an assault rifle. Now, the SR3M works just as well as the P416. Look, the P416, it shows it has like a third the damage. I don't know why its stats are so low. I guess just because it's your starter weapon. But I assure you it's just as good a weapon. These really don't seem to make any sense. What does make sense are the actual mechanics of the effect. Let's move on. Accuracy. There's rifles with less bullet drop than other rifles that have a higher accuracy bar. These stats must represent some kind of hidden mechanic in the game. There's no way to test them like fully. What I can tell you is what the parts will do. So I'm going to kind of skip the rest of this. No one really does what half this stuff does. No one really knows. Noise reduction. I got a whole video where I tested noise of every single SMG, and they were all within the noise detection of all of them was within like 10 meters of one another. It really doesn't matter. What does matter in this game is what you like, what you want to use, and what parts actually make what parts on your weapon actually make the differences that you can see. Okay, let's go ahead and take this weapon apart here. Okay, so let's start with an easy one. Let's start with Recoil. And very simple here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take my SR3M. We're just going to, well, let's just stand on this little white line right here. And let's just scope in and fire one-shot group. Of course, this doesn't matter that much because how often do you actually unload a full 30 rounds? Now here's the thing. So assault rifles tend to recoil vertically. Let me go ahead and strip this rifle down. So let's fire, and this fire group will be a lot taller. Have more recoil. Not by a lot, but yeah, it's taller and it's wavier because you don't have the control of having the foregrip. Now, kind of not the best rifle to test it on, but so I don't want to do a lot of testing in this because I've already done all this testing. Mostly, I just want to go over what does what, because I want to go over every weapon in every category. Well, not every weapon, but every weapon category and every playstyle, that you might want to be using. So let me put my SR3M back the way I like it. Having a look here. Let's start from the top. All right, Buttstock. Okay, we're going to talk about assault rifles. We're looking at the assault rifle I have equipped. Some weapons, like this one, have the option to fold it in. Buttstock has, I believe, probably the biggest effect on your recoil. Now, usually we just fire short bursts, but sometimes when you have a lot of enemies, you're firing a lot of short bursts in quick succession. Recoil is going to come into play. I always choose to have an extended buttstock on every weapon I use. right now we're talking about assault rifles. Assault rifles tend to recoil straight up. And the more precision they are, the more they'll recoil straight up. And they hardly have any, the real accurate ones, I think accuracy has something to do with how the bullets deviate like from side to side, at least with assault rifles. The attributes I'm talking about are the noticeable ones you can see, some of which are, combinations of many of those stats they show on the stat screen. Recoil is a combination of, it seems to be affected by some of those, but I can tell you exactly what parts in the rifle affected, and that's going to be the buttstock, the barrel, the underbarrel, and some people say the side rail attachment, its weight can affect recoil. If it does, it's not noticeable enough to be worthwhile. And I can tell you that the muzzle device does too. The muzzle device affects recoil. You're going to get better recoil with a suppressor, with a compensator. Although a suppressor does dampen recoil because of the weight of it, you're going to get the best recoil on, I don't know why it's jumped from the top of the list to bottom of the list, but yeah, because I had the weapon rotated that way. You're going to get the best recoil with a compensator V2. Now, okay, so suppressed versus non-suppressed. One thing I guess I should say, everything I have is maxed out. So I'm testing weapons on the platform that I'm level 30, and all my skills are maxed, okay? So that means, I mentioned that because if I go up here, I have advanced suppressor. So damage-wise, it does not matter for me if my suppressors on or off. Really, damage doesn't really matter, and we don't worry about it, Don't worry about taking your suppressor on and off. Never worry about damage. If you do it right, it doesn't matter what rifle you're using. If you do it right, just one little brap will drop any target, regardless of your weapon. All right, but the compensator V2 brings with it a great reduction in recoil. And if I'm not mistaken, I forget actually which. It's been a while since I've done one of those videos. You can watch my guide to recoil video. I got 2 of them. They're both basically right. I just kind of missed something on the first one, but anyway, barrel length is going to have something to do with it, and let's see if we can measure that here. So here's the way I run it. Barrel length, it does have to do with recoil. Let's get back on this line here and scope into this wall. So this is the way I run my rifle. It's really, like, as you can see, it's the first half of the magazine that really gives you the, at least with this rifle, everything's different here. It's the first half of the magazine that really gives you the most recoil, and then the last, like 15 or so, last 10 or 15 bullets just kind of stick right there. Now, let's put that longer barrel on it. I believe, I forget this because I've not tested this in so long, because this game is largely just getting used to something you like and using what you like, and adjusting yourself to it, really, because there's no best of anything. Yeah, shorter barrel. You can see significantly less. You can definitely see less recoil, and but these shot groups are kind of random. But you can see I got less recoil using the shorter barrel. Shorter barrel compensator is going to give you better recoil. Recoil is affected by probably more parts than anything else. So I have this set up mostly for recoil. Now there's a couple other things I have set up on here too. Now this weapon, this particular rifle, has only one viable underbarrel option, and that's grenade launcher, unless you want to use the stock vertical grip. Now vertical grips, okay, there are a couple hard fast rules on parts. Only use vertical grips on assault rifles, only use angled grips on submachine guns, and we'll get there when we get to the submachine gun thing. Vertical grips help keep your shot group tight vertically, reduce vertical recoil. Vertical grips reduce vertical recoil. Angled grips reduce the side-to-side sway that you get from SMGs. They kind of tend to jog off to the side. Assault rifles don't do that, so putting an angled grip on an assault rifle is a complete waste and it's useless. That said, so that means the best underbarrel for an assault rifle would be the V4 foregrip. Right next to that, however, is the grenade launcher, just simply because of its weight, I guess. It has recoil control in between that of the V3 and V4 foregrip. So perfectly acceptable underbarrel. So there's really only one choice for the SR3M because it can't attach a V4 foregrip. It can only use the stock one it comes with. We're going to skip over rail attachment for now. Magazines, again, I'm pretty much ignoring all the stats and talking about the stuff that actually affects you in the game. Magazines, the bigger the magazine, the longer it takes to reload. But really, it's only by a fraction of a second. And if you look at it this way, that's partly affected by handling. Putting bigger parts is going to increase, or it's going to reduce your handling score over there. But all those things, a lot of those have like internal variables we never see. That's why it's so hard to test some of them. But one thing I will say, the bigger, bulkier parts are going to increase your reload time. But it's never going to be more than just a split second. And here's the flip side to that. Okay, so this can only equip a 30-round magazine, but a lot of assault rifles can equip 50-round magazines. Now, so like let's take the LVOA for instance. The LVOA, you can equip a 50-round magazine on it. A lot of them you can, okay? If you equip a 50-round mag, you're going to have a slightly longer reload time over a 30-round mag, but you have to reload like, you have to reload less often. So there's that trade-off. Take that one with you, take that as you will. I don't worry about reload time. Because when I'm playing, I generally always have cover. I'll take cover here, shoot, take cover here, shoot. And when I'm taking cover, I can come back here, reload, and then shoot, so reload time's really not a big deal. There are some weapon groups that reload much faster, like SMGs overall reload way faster than ARs. Pistols reload faster than anything. I don't take reload time into any consideration for anything. So I say put whatever part you want as far as that is concerned. Recoil, however, going back to recoil, so that's affected by the buttstock. Definitely the buttstock, the barrel, because I've tested this, I got videos of it. The buttstock, the barrel, the muzzle device, and the underbarrel. More parts than affect any other noticeable thing. And there's two ways. So let's see. I find I more often than not run a grenade launcher because, like I said, its recoil control is almost as good as a V4. And it simply adds utility to your rifle, which you may or may not need. Have an unexpected Unidad QRF, boom, chopper spot you in the sky, boom, it has really great utility, the underbarrel grenade launcher. So I just always go with that. There's really no reason not to, unless you can't attach one for whatever reason. Say you have a weapon that already, one of the custom weapons that doesn't have one, that's okay. There's only, the way I see it, two options for side rail attachment. And there's only two reasons, and none of them have to do with any of the stats or performance. Okay, one does have to do with performance. There's two choices. I run, as you can see, I'm running the laser sight, the PAC-15 laser sight here on the side. If you're playing co-op, I don't know, it's kind of a must. It's not a must, but usually you run these when you're running co-op. None of those side rail attachments really does anything. They really don't do anything. They do not affect anything. Nothing you're going to notice. Nothing I've noticed in any of my tests whatsoever. Nothing that's even been noticeable in any of my tests is affected by any of the side rail attachments, with the exception of the rangefinder. And I'll talk about that in a second. That's the only one that has any noticeable in-game effect, and it has a huge in-game effect actually. The rangefinder noticeably reduces your bullet drop. Okay, so what I'm getting at here is I tend to run a lot of co-op, so I'm running the laser sight on the side. In particular, this particular one, not the 3-dot, this one, the PAC-15, the ATPIAL. And the reason you run this in co-op, if you didn't know, some people are new and didn't know, when you're playing in co-op, when you have your night vision on, you can see the laser beam in night vision, just like in real life. You can see where it's pointing. So you can see where your teammates are pointing, and it's especially helpful when you have no HUD. If you're not sure where teammates are at, you can just point your rifle up in the air and just wave it, and they can look over and see the beam and be like, oh, you're over there, Of course, now we have compass bearings. That's less of an issue now that we have compass bearings, but still. So, if you're running a lot of the co-op, you want to run that. Otherwise, what I typically run is the rangefinder, because this does actually mitigate a noticeable amount of bullet drop. A noticeable amount. I'll show you. This is no sniper rifle or anything. I was going to deal with this when we get to snipers, but I can show you right here, right now. Let's fire from 200 meters. I already got the target set there. Let's go back to 200 meters and fire. And don't forget to put on a single shot. 200 meters there. Right now we're running the PEC 15. And we'll just line this up. Right, always aim at the bottom of the target. That's where it's centered at, is in the bottom, not in the middle. And one shot. And see, we drop down. You can see there's the target. So we drop down 1, 2, almost 2.5, almost 2.5 bricks. About 2 1/3 bricks we drop down. You know, if I go in here and let's go ahead and slap on that rangefinder. It's going to move it up probably to that. It's probably going to move it up just the rest of that brick. 200 meters? I don't know. We'll see. It's a guess. Just guesstimating. Wait for our breathing to kind of come to a rest. There we go. Okay, actually more than that. See? Moved it up half a brick. That's, you know, well, that's a considerable amount. You can see right there. That is one attachment which has a noticeable difference. And this is only 200 meters. So if you're just playing solo, you're best off with the rangefinder. So if you're primarily running solo, what I do is with assault rifles, I tend to run the shortest barrel I can, better recoil control. It's quicker to maneuver, quicker to reload, quicker to point. And then I run a rangefinder to make up for the bullet drop that I lose from equipping a short barrel. So for assault rifles, let's pull this back up. Let's look at a different assault rifle I have. This is, yeah, like, wait a second. Do I have a compensator? Yeah, I do. So this is ideal. I haven't gotten to optics yet. We'll talk about optics in a second. This is ideal. Just forget the optic. This is ideal. Short barrel, grenade launcher, 30 round magazine, rangefinder. Rangefinder makes up for what you lose in the shorter barrel. The shorter barrel gives you better recoil control. The compensator gives you better recoil control. So does the grenade launcher. Everything here works together. And this is one heck of a deadly weapon, this Mark 18. Very deadly. This thing's deadly accurate at long range. Now, so yeah, assault rifles, that's pretty much everything you need to know about what to put on assault rifles. You know, the do's and don'ts. Rangefinder in single player, you saw how much it improved that shot just at 200 meters. That's not even a long shot, you know. That doesn't even call for a sniper rifle, I don't think. That's pretty much going over every like real gameplay effect of attachments. I didn't really go too deep into recoil because that in itself, you know, I've got like 2 17-minute videos just showing all the intricacies of that and like every piece and part. So definitely take what I told you here and run with it however you want to run with it. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching this episode of the Wildlands Player's Guide. I am Dark Dahlia. Don't forget to, yeah, you can see a link to the whole playlist down there in the description below. There's also a link to my Patreon, and if you want to donate the channel directly, and it really does help support the channel a lot, guys. There's a PayPal link down there as well for that. Don't forget to subscribe, and whatever your thoughts are, always feel free to leave comments, likes, dislikes, you know, whatever. Just all I ask is you guys be cool, and tell me what you want to see and give me your honest input, and I'll try to do the best I can to adjust to that. This is just the, this is the guide for the average player, so I'm just kind of doing average basic guides and stuff here. We've done a lot of complicated hard stuff, a lot of crazy stuff. Now let's just do some normal tips and tricks that maybe some people don't know yet or simply forgot about. There's stuff about this game that coming back to it, I realized, holy jeez, I forgot about that one thing. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm Dark Dally. I will see you guys tomorrow.